Question 1. What does disabling certain system functions or shutting down the system when risks are identified represent? A. Risk acceptance. B. Risk avoidance. C. Risk transference. D. Risk deterrence. Correct answer. B. Risk avoidance. Risk avoidance is a strategy used to eliminate or prevent risks by shutting down systems or disabling certain functions when risks are identified. This approach aims to completely avoid potential harm or issues by taking proactive actions to eliminate the risk altogether, ensuring that the threat does not materialize. Question 2. What is the name of the mandatory IT security and risk management framework developed by NIST for U.S. federal agencies? A. SAE. B. CSF. C. RMF. D. CSA. Correct answer. C. RMF. The Risk Management Framework is the mandatory IT security and risk management framework developed by the National Institute of Standards and Technology for U.S. federal agencies. It provides a structured process for managing risks related to information systems, ensuring the security and privacy of federal agency systems. Question 3. What research sources are typically the slowest when sourcing threat intelligence? A. Academic journals. B. Local industry groups. C. Threat feeds. D. Vulnerability feeds. Correct answer. A. Academic journals. Academic journals are the slowest of the items listed because of the review processes involved with the most reputable journals. Although academic journals can be useful resources, they are typically not up-to-the-minute sources. Other resources you should be aware of are vendor websites, conferences, social media, and RFCs, requests for comments. Question 4. Which protocol is used to manage group or multicasting sessions? A. SNMP. B. ICMP. C. IGMP. D. TFTP. Correct answer. C. IGMP. IGMP, Internet Group Management Protocol, is a protocol used to manage group memberships for multicast communication in an IP network. It allows devices to join or leave multicast groups, which is essential for multicasting sessions where data is transmitted to multiple devices simultaneously. Question 5. You work as a network security administrator for a bank. You find that an attacker has exploited a flaw in OpenSSL and forced some connections to move to a weak CipherSuite version of TLS, which the attacker could breach. What type of attack was this? A. Brute force. B. Disassociation attack. C. Downgrade attack. D. Session hijacking. Correct answer. C. Downgrade attack. Downgrade attacks seek to make a transport layer security connection use a weaker cipher version, thus allowing the attacker to more easily break the encryption and read the protected data. In a disassociation attack, the attacker attempts to force the victim into disassociating from a resource. Session hijacking is when the attacker takes over an authenticated session. Brute force attempts every possible random combination to get the password or encryption key. Question 6. What is the term for an agreement between a service provider and its users that outlines the nature, quality, scope, and availability of the service to be provided? A. SOW. B. MSA. C. SLA. D. MOU. Correct answer. C. SLA. SLA, Service Level Agreement, is an agreement between a service provider and its users that defines the nature, quality, scope, and availability of the service to be provided. It outlines measurable service levels, such as uptime, performance metrics, and response times, and sets expectations for both the provider and the user regarding service delivery. Question 7. Which of these teams is typically not included in an incident response team? A. Communications staff. B. Law enforcement. C. Management. D. Security analysts. Correct answer. B. Law enforcement. Organizational incident response teams generally do not include law enforcement, but they usually maintain a connection with local law enforcement officials. A core incident response team typically comprises security analysts, management, communication staff, and technical experts. Question 8. What approach is employed to restrict an attack's capability to go on while maintaining the availability of systems and services? A. Containment. B. Isolation. C. Nuking. D. Segmentation. Correct answer. A. Containment. Containment initiatives are used to curtail the extent or consequences of an incident. The focus of containment may be on maintaining systems or services online, enabling organizations to continue operations until alternative business continuity arrangements can be established. Segmentation involves the separation of systems or services into distinct security zones, while isolation entails either complete removal from all contact or placement in small groups that are separated from the unaffected parts of the organization and systems. Question 9. Which law was created to prevent the government from acting like Big Brother and to protect citizens' privacy? A. The Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. B. Freedom of Information Act. C. Intellectual Property Act of Internet Access. D. Federal Privacy Act of 1974. Correct answer. D. Federal Privacy Act of 1974. The Federal Privacy Act of 1974 is a U.S. law that regulates how federal agencies handle personal information to protect citizens' privacy. It requires agencies to maintain accurate records, ensures individuals can access their own information, and limits the disclosure of personal data without consent. Question 10. Mark, a manager at a local bank branch, needs to ensure that customer information remains secure when the desk-side staff is away from their desks for a day. What security measures should Mark implement to address this concern? A. Background checks. B. Clean desk policy. C. Continuing education. D. Job rotation. Correct answer. B. Clean desk policy. Clean desk policy is a security measure that requires employees to clear their desks of sensitive information when they are not present. This reduces the risk of unauthorized access to confidential data and ensures that customer information remains secure when the desk-side staff is away. Question 11. If a data breach involving personally identifiable information, PII, occurs, what is an individual most likely to experience? A. Fines. B. Intellectual property theft. C. Identity theft. D. Reputation damage. Correct answer. C. Identity theft. When a data breach involves personally identifiable information, PII, individuals whose data has been exposed are at a high risk of identity theft. Cybercriminals can use the exposed PII, such as social security numbers, financial details, and other personal information, to impersonate the individual, open accounts, or commit fraud. Question 12. James's company has been experiencing large-scale denial-of-service attacks on their website. James signs an agreement with his internet service provider to increase the company's bandwidth and expand the server pool to handle more traffic than previous DOS attacks. What risk management strategy is James using? A. Acceptance. B. Avoidance. C. Mitigation. D. Transfer. Correct answer. C. Mitigation. Mitigation involves taking proactive measures to reduce the impact of a risk or threat. By increasing the company's bandwidth and expanding the server pool, James is attempting to reduce the effects of the denial-of-service attacks and ensure the company's infrastructure can handle increased traffic, thereby lessening the impact of such attacks. Question 13. As a new security administrator, you discover your organization lacks deterrent controls. Which of the following would you update to address this need? A. Antivirus scanner. B. Hidden video cameras. C. Lighting. D. Motion sensor. Correct answer. B. Hidden video cameras. Hidden video cameras are a deterrent control used to discourage potential wrongdoers by making them aware that their actions are being monitored. These cameras can be placed in areas where security is critical but are not visible, increasing the likelihood of individuals refraining from committing malicious acts due to the risk of being recorded. Question 14. Which term refers to the possession, custody, and collection of digital forensic artifacts and images? A. E-discovery. B. Jurisdiction. C. Provenance. D. Volatility. Correct answer. C. Provenance. The provenance of a forensic artifact encompasses the custody chain, which includes the artifact's ownership and acquisition, the device, or the image. E-discovery refers to the process of conducting discovery using electronic formats for litigation, investigations, and record requests. Jurisdiction refers to the geographical region or area where the legal system or law enforcement has the authority to enforce laws. Volatility is the degree to which a device or component is expected to change. Question 15. Which of the given situations is the most unlikely to allow for data recovery? A. A disk is degaussed. B. A file is deleted from a disk. C. A file is overwritten by a smaller file. D. A hard drive is quick formatted. Correct answer. A. A disk is degaussed. Using strong magnetic fields to erase a drive, known as degaussing, is the least probable method to result in recoverable data. In most cases, deleted files can be retrieved as only the file index information is eliminated until that space is required and overwritten. Quick formats operate in a similar fashion, leaving residual data, and any files overwritten by smaller ones will leave behind fragments of data that can be retrieved and analyzed. Question 16. What is commonly included in a BPA, Business Partnership Agreement? A. Clear statements outlining the expectations between a customer and a service provider. B. Security requirements for interconnected IT systems. C. Profit and loss sharing and terms for adding or removing a partner. D. An agreement that a specific service or function will be delivered at a certain level of performance. Correct answer. C. Profit and loss sharing and terms for adding or removing a partner. Business Partnership Agreement, BPA, is a legal document that outlines the terms and conditions of a business partnership, including profit and loss distribution, partner responsibilities, and the procedures for adding or removing partners. It is primarily used to formalize the relationship and ensure clarity between business partners, preventing conflicts and misunderstandings. Question 17. What function does counter mode perform in a cryptographic system? A. It allows public keys to unlock private keys. B. It reverses the encryption process. C. It turns a block cipher into a stream cipher. D. It turns a stream cipher into a block cipher. Correct answer. C. It turns a block cipher into a stream cipher. Counter mode makes a block cipher into a stream cipher by generating a keystream block, using a non-repeating sequence to fill in the blocks. This allows data to be streamed instead of waiting for blocks to be ready to send. It does not perform the reverse, turning a stream cipher into a block cipher, nor does it reverse the encryption process, decryption. Public keys cannot unlock private keys. They are both parts of an asymmetric encryption process. Question 18. After discovering evidence of employees stealing credit card information and personally identifiable information during a credit card breach, Alice informs the police to involve them in the investigation. What has Alice done? A. Escalated the investigation. B. Outsourced the investigation. C. Public notification. D. Tokenized the data. Correct answer. A. Escalated the investigation. Alice has escalated the investigation by notifying the police after discovering evidence of employees stealing credit card information and personally identifiable information. Escalating the investigation involving higher authorities or experts, such as law enforcement, when the situation goes beyond the internal capabilities of the organization. Question 19. When designing security measures to protect assets, which of the following situations is the most difficult to guard against? A. Security surfing. B. Perimeter testing. C. Social engineering. D. Perimeter surfing. Correct answer. C. Social engineering. Social engineering is a form of manipulation where attackers exploit human behavior to gain access to sensitive information or systems. This can be through tactics like phishing, pretexting, or baiting, and often targets individuals within an organization. It is the most difficult to guard against because it relies on deceiving people, rather than exploiting technical weaknesses. Question 20. When outsourcing code development for an internet-facing application, which of the following poses the greatest security concern? A. Intellectual property theft. B. Elevated privileges. C. Unknown backdoor. D. Quality assurance. Correct answer. C. Unknown backdoor. When outsourcing code development for an internet-facing application, the greatest security concern is unknown backdoor. A backdoor is a hidden method of accessing an application or system, often allowing unauthorized access or control. This is a significant risk because, if introduced by the outsourced development team, it could be exploited by attackers to compromise the system, bypassing normal security measures. Question 21. An organization is interested in sharing threat intelligence with other similar organizations. Which of the following would most likely fulfill this need? A. Perform OSINT investigations. B. Subscribe to threat intelligence feeds. C. Submit RFCs. D. Implement a TAC-C server. Correct answer. D. Implement a TAC-C server. TACSIN, Trusted Automated Exchange of Indicator Information, is a protocol designed to facilitate the sharing of structured threat intelligence between organizations. By implementing a TAC server, an organization can securely share threat intelligence with similar organizations, allowing for automated exchange of data such as indicators of compromise, IOCs, and other cybersecurity information. Question 22. What is the name of the extension to the ISO/IEC 27001 standard that focuses on managing privacy data? A. ISO/IEC 27002. B. ISO/IEC 20701. C. ISO/IEC 27002. D. ISO/IEC 31000. Correct answer. B. ISO/IEC 207-701. ISO/IEC 207-701 is an extension to the ISO/IEC 27001 standard. Specifically focused on managing privacy data, it provides guidelines and requirements for establishing, implementing, maintaining, and continually improving a privacy information management system, PIMS, helping organizations ensure compliance with privacy regulations such as the GDPR. Question 23. A company is offering security awareness training to emphasize the importance of not forwarding social media messages from untrusted sources. Which risk does this training primarily address? A. Hoaxes. B. SPIMs. C. Identity fraud. D. Credential harvesting. Correct answer. A. Hoaxes. Hoaxes are false or misleading messages that are often spread through social media or other communication channels. By emphasizing the importance of not forwarding messages from untrusted sources, the training is primarily addressing the risk of hoaxes, which can spread misinformation, panic, or scams. Question 24. Which of the following is an agreement between your organization and a service provider that outlines the expected performance standards from the vendor? A. SND. B. RSA. C. SLA. D. ATP. Correct answer. C. SLA. SLA, Service Level Agreement, is a contract between an organization and a service provider that defines the expected performance standards and metrics for the services provided. It ensures that both parties agree on the level of service to be delivered, including factors such as uptime, response times, and support availability. Question 25. Which acronym represents the maximum time allowed to restore business functions after a failure or disaster? A. SLA. B. RTO. C. AUP. D. RPO. Correct answer. B. RTO. RTO, Recovery Time Objective, represents the maximum time allowed to restore business functions after a failure or disaster. It defines the target duration within which services or systems must be recovered to minimize the impact on the organization's operations. Question 26. Which acronym refers to a formula used in risk assessment to define the potential financial loss due to a risk over a one-year period? A. RO. B. SLE. C. AL. D. SLA. Correct answer. C. ALE. ALE, Annual Loss Expectancy, is a formula used in risk assessment to calculate the potential financial loss due to a risk over a one-year period. It is determined by multiplying the single loss expectancy, SLE, by the annual rate of occurrence, ARO, which gives an estimate of the expected monetary loss for each risk in a year. Question 27. What purpose does a transit gateway serve in cloud services? A. It allows multi-cloud infrastructure designs. B. It connects systems inside of a cloud data center. C. It connects virtual private clouds and on-premises networks. D. It provides an API gateway between trust zones. Correct answer. C. It connects virtual private clouds and on-premises networks. Transit gateways are transit hubs used to connect VPCs, virtual private clouds, to on-premises networks. You can read more about transit gateways at docs, AWS, Amazon.com. TGW, what is transit gateway? IBM uses the same term, but for a very specific internal cloud connection. Question 28. Which multi-factor authentication can suffer from problems if the system or device's time is not correct? A. HOTP. B. MMAC. C. SMS. D. TOTP. Correct answer. D. TOTP. TOTP, or time-based one-time password, algorithms depend on the time being accurate between both of the authentication hosts. That means if a system or device is not properly synced to an authoritative and correct time server, or if its local system time has drifted, the authentication may fail. Although TOTP systems have some flexibility, a clock that is sufficiently incorrect would cause an issue. HMAC-based one-time password, HOTP, and short message service, SMS-based multi-factor systems do not suffer from this issue, and MMAC was made up for this question. Question 29. Which of the following is the best description for VM sprawl? A. When VMs are spread across a wide area network. B. When VMs on your network outnumber physical machines. C. When a VM on a computer begins to consume too many resources. D. When there are more VMs than IT can effectively manage. Correct answer. D. When there are more VMs than it can effectively manage. Virtual machine, VM, sprawl, refers to a situation where the network has more virtual machines than the IT staff can effectively manage. The remaining options don't match the term VM sprawl. Question 30. Which of the following refers to a privacy-related security risk associated with the public sharing of photos taken on smartphones? A. Embedded geotag. B. Steganography. C. Weak passwords. D. Data ownership. Correct answer. A. Embedded geotag. Embedded geotag refers to the GPS location data embedded in photos taken on smartphones, which can expose the precise location where the photo was taken. This poses a privacy-related security risk, as individuals may unknowingly share sensitive or private location information when posting these photos online. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful for you, don't forget to like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more practice questions and tips.